Hey everybody, my name is Keith Garner, and I'm a moderator on the MDT Microsoft Deployment Toolkit TechNet forums. Today I want to walk through a sample failure in an MDT task sequence and demystify the MDT logging system in general. Understanding MDT log files is a really good skill for anybody who's an MDT administrator. I'm running a standard MDT 2013 new computer deployment on Hyper-V VM with the Windows 8.1 ADK. And you can see we've already gotten a failure here. It's represented by the red screen. We can click on Summary, and I've seen a lot of people go ahead when they ask questions on the forums or they ask questions about failures in the MDT task sequence to take a picture of this screen. The picture is kind of pretty, but remember that the deployment summary page here is auto-generated from the bdd.log file, and we get much more information from the bdd.log file, so it'd be great if you can include that instead. So how do we get the bdd.log file? Well, since we're running in WinPE, we can go into debugging mode by pressing F8. Let's start off with the X drive and see if we can find it here. dir/s/b bdd.log. What do we have? Yep, there it is. Let's open it up in Notepad and see what we got. Now, one of the advantages of the bdd log file format is it contains a lot of metadata like the time, the date, and the components, but it's a little hard to read in Notepad. That's one of the reasons we highly recommend you use the cmtrace tool. Cmtrace is available for free on the internet via the Configuration Manager Toolkit. Just go to Bing or your favorite search engine, search for Config Manager Toolkit, and install the MSI package. That will install locally on your machine cmtrace, and it's a great tool for debugging MDT problems. So let's see what that looks like. I've taken the liberty of loading it onto this WinPE machine, WinPE environment. So let's take a look here. cmtrace bdd.log. Much better. We have the log text, we have components, we have the time, the date. Fantastic. Let's see if we can find what the error is. And I don't really see any particular errors here, so that's going to be a problem. Why is that? Well, there's a little bit of a hint here near the bottom of this log file. If this is one of the last lines in your bdd log file, check the C drive for the most up-to-date bdd log file. Well, why is that? During a standard installation of a new computer, MDT is going to wipe away the C drive, so any log files that were there will get lost. MDT is going to copy temporarily to the X drive, which is a RAM drive, all the log files, perform the processing on the primary hard disk, and then copy the log files back. But these are leftover files. These are not the most up-to-date files. MDT didn't clean up the log files from the X drive, so they've got to be on the C drive somewhere. Let's try that. C drive. There we go. Now there are two files here. Which one are they? Now I can see that one of the files here is way too small. 965 bytes, that couldn't be it. It's got to be the second file here. So let's try that. cmtrace, see the bdd log file. Let's see what this looks like. Much better. We can see this running the cleanup, the light touch. Let's go up there. Okay, where is the error here? I could see the error right here. This is from our red screen. Light touch deployment failed with a return code of 80004005. Well, that's not very helpful. We need some more information. And there's a hint. The hint: for more information, consult the task sequencer log, smsts.log file. Okay. So what's happening here is it ran through the steps in our task sequence, found something it didn't like, exited out, and we have to go hunt here for that file. So let's find that file. dir/s smsts.log. It's not there. Huh. Well, then where is it? Okay, let's try the X drive instead. There are two files here. For simplicity's sake, let's just try always going for the larger of the files here. Maybe one's out of sync, maybe one's the older version, but let's try the larger file here. cmtrace smsts.log, smsts.log. Let's see what this one has. There we go. Error, task sequence manager failed to install execute the task sequence 8004005. Well, what's happened here? If we scroll up, this looks like the step. Executing command line cmd/c exit 1. Failed to run the command line, run command line. What's happening, this is the trick that I added in here. I ran cmd.exe, and the only command I ran was an exit of 1. That means the cmd.exe returned back to the task sequencer 1, and the task sequencer interpreted that as a failure, a hard failure. Let's go back to our task sequence and see if we can get some more information here. Task sequencer, here's my sample task sequence, and here's my run command. So here's the command cmd.exe/c exit. Now remember, if any step along the task sequence fails, it will stop processing the rest of the task and jump straight to the end. And that's important in some instances when there are very important steps in your task sequence. If the OS installation failed, yes, we need to stop right away because the rest of the tasks may not be valid. But there may be instances where you're maybe installing just a simple setup program and you don't care if it fails or not, or maybe you're still in the debugging phase. There's an options tab, continue on error, and you can enable or disable that depending on whether you think that the command should continue if there was an error code returned by that program. And that's important of what the continue on error is and what the failure of this entire task sequence was. Now after all that, a couple of notes. One, remember about the configuration manager components. Go ahead and use the cmtrace tool, fantastic tool. Another note, if you're going to be sharing logs on the TechNet forums, unfortunately the TechNet forums don't allow you to copy huge log files, huge amounts of text into the posts. So probably the best thing to do is to copy your log files up to a public share like OneDrive. And OneDrive is really cool because you can click on the link and it'll display the text right there. And I could also click on a download, and if I have cmtrace and incorporated into my environment, which I do here, fantastic. I can view it up and I can quickly determine where the errors are and read through these logs really quick. It's a great way to share information. It's a great way if you're trying to contribute to the forums, you can actually help out by using these tools as well. Additionally, if I was to go into the properties of my share, the rules file, there's a property called slshare. And if you have that in the default defined for your task sequence and pointing off to a network share, in this case deploy root captures log, whenever MDT is done running a task sequence, whether it passed or failed, it should copy the log files to that network location. Let's find that here. And here it is. In this case, MDT went out and found the bdd log file, copied the smsts.log file. This is much easier than the method I showed you earlier in this video, trying to go to WinPE, finding the bdd log file, finding the SMS log file for every failure. Have MDT automatically copy that up to a server share. It's much easier to do, and it should help you becoming a power user for MDT. Hope everybody found this video informative, and hope to see you on the TechNet forums with those great questions. Thanks.